This is major for the Chicago Bulls. We're going to be talking about if Talen Horton Tucker is a good sign for the Chicago Bulls, and what are some other moves that the Chicago Bulls could possibly explore this offseason going into this upcoming season. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so let's go ahead and jump into it, just looking at THT and if this was a good signing for the Chicago Bulls. I think that this is a yes and it is a no. So let's start with the yes. I think that because THT is just 23 years old, I think that he absolutely fits the timeline for the Chicago Bulls as they're trying to build their young core. So he absolutely fits in. So I think that that is a check as far as going ahead and signing him. Next, I love his wingspan. I love the fact that he has a 7'1" wingspan. I think defensively, if he decides to lock in, the Chicago Bulls could absolutely use that. I think with that 7'1" wingspan, you're looking at a player that could guard 1 to 3. Sometimes you could sneak him out there to guard a 4. And I talked about this yesterday that one of his player comparisons in the NBA draft was much like a PJ Tucker type of player. So I do like that about him. Next, I think that he could perhaps establish an identity for the Chicago Bulls. And I'm talking about the physicality. I talked about how he drives to the basket and he's seeking contact out there. And I think that the Chicago Bulls are looking for that type of physicality. You would love to have that in your center and in your power forward, but I will take it from the guard position. I think that that is a mentality that the Chicago Bulls should absolutely take on. And so I do like that about THT. He is a player that is not afraid of contact and will go in there and get physical. So I definitely like that about that signing. Now, the next thing that I like about this, and this is something that I forgot to mention in yesterday's video, and shout out to DLaw23 who was in the comments, but THT is an NBA champion, and I think we forget about that. In fact, THT, he is the youngest player to win a championship in the NBA. He won it in 2020 where the Lakers defeated the Miami Heat. And remember, on that particular team, he was a big rotational piece. He played behind LeBron James, Anthony Davis. You had KCP that was on that roster as well. And the one thing about THT that has really been surprising to me, because I know he's been up and down in his career since he left the Lakers. Most Lakers who have left have gone off and been pretty successful. And I thought that THT was a player that I thought was really going to take off. I thought he was going to be in line just like Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma. I thought that he was going to be that type of player that was really going to take off in his career, and it just hasn't happened yet. But I like the fact that he is 23. He hasn't necessarily found himself, and maybe he gets a chance to find it here with the Chicago Bulls, but he is going to have to make the roster. And speaking of making the roster, all right, this is not set in stone. Even though he is signed, it is a non-guaranteed contract, and he's going to be very much competing for a roster spot here. And so when you look at this, you see that the Bulls have 14 guaranteed contracts, and then you have Onrop Batim, who isn't fully guaranteed, and they also have this one two-way spot available. So that is very important to note. And so I like the THT signing because he also is going to bring a level of competitiveness, I think, to the training camp, right? Because it's not set in stone, whoever's at that, maybe we cut him, maybe we keep him. He's going to make somebody compete. Even if he's not there, I love the fact that the Chicago Bulls they're setting the tone. They're bringing a competitive aspect to the team. And I think this is something that maybe they haven't had in a long time, especially when you look at that stat around Zach Lavine and the players that have not been in the NBA. It makes you wonder just what the Chicago Bulls have been doing as far as offering contracts. So I think that you see now that they're going to have players compete and try to figure it out. So I like that aspect about this particular signing, and I'm hoping that if they do keep him, the fact that this is a player that has gone from being a second round pick to being at the highest of highs, where he won that NBA championship, and then going through his ups and downs with Utah, and then maybe now at a low point because he's fighting to get on an NBA roster. I love the fact that he would bring that experience to our young guys, especially Kobe White and Ayo. I think that they take a lot of that experience from Caruso and DeMar DeRozan, and that has made them better. So I think that having THT in your locker room and playing with you, that is going to help you as well. And so when we look at the negatives about this, obviously he's a guard. All right, at 6'4", he's a guard. He's out there with Ayo. He's with Kobe White. He's with Giddey. He's with Lavine. Like, we have Javon Carter. We have Dalen Terry. There's so many guards on the roster, which is going to make it challenging if he does make the team. So I think that is the one aspect that is severely negative. We have too many guards as is, and you just need to get another front court player. Now, with that being said, you have to like it too, because there seems to be something that's on the rise. Like, there's some type of change. There's something coming when you see this type of move from Chicago. And I think that they're telling the league right now that maybe they don't necessarily believe so much in just going out there and just grabbing a whole bunch of draft assets and just, putting all their chips into the draft. Like, they're looking for players that have shown some flashes in the league. They've done one thing, and maybe they just need some playing time to show that they can round out their game, but they're taking a chance on these type of players. And so I like it, and I'm curious to see what is going to happen with it. But there's other moves the Chicago Bulls could make. All right, so one of the things that I have noticed in the comments, and then just looking across other channels and networks, is they're talking about the fact that the Bulls need to go out and they need to get better on the front line, power forward, center. And I totally agree with that. And so here's a player that I think could absolutely fit that bill. We do have that two-way contract out there. I wanted to make sure that I highlight that. But I think a player like Isaiah Mobley, I talked about this about a month ago. I think that this is a player that maybe he fits for the Chicago Bulls. 6'8", 6'9". He's the brother of Evan Mobley, who just signed with the Cavs. But you're looking at his G League numbers: 21 points a game, 10.9 rebounds a game. Yes, I know it is the G League, but again, we just talked about Chicago wanting to take chances on young players, and he definitely would fit that bill. And we need some size, and we need somebody that is going to come in and play physical. I watched a lot of his games at USC, and I think he has the it factor. I think he just needs to get that opportunity. So this is a player that I think the Chicago Bulls might take a look at. I'm not sure if he's still eligible for the two-way deal, but I'd absolutely like to take a look at him. And next, I would say if the Chicago Bulls are wanting to shake it up and they're wanting to maybe go out there, get rid of some guards and bring back a player that could help you at the wing/guard position, then the one player that is still out there that nobody is really talking about and everybody has forgotten about, that is going to be Issac Okoro. I think a lot of people have forgotten about him, and he's out there. All right, he has an $11.83 million qualifying offer out here. And from what I understand, I think that this is more than likely going to end with a sign and trade. And he's looking for anywhere from $12 to $15 million, I think, as far as the deal is concerned. And I think that the Bulls, if they're willing to get creative, if they're willing to bring in a team, maybe there is a chance that we can go out here and get, Okoro. Like, maybe there's a possibility for that. And so that is two players that I think that the Chicago Bulls should absolutely take a look at if they're looking to shake it up. And so let me know in the comments, what do you think? Should the Chicago Bulls maybe sign a player like Isaiah Mobley that I'm suggesting? Perhaps take a look at a sign and trade to get Issac Okoro over from the Cavs. Or, should they just go ahead, leave it as is, let these young players compete and figure out who is going to get that last two-way spot? And do they keep owner off a team? I mean, that is going to be a question as well. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And before we jump out of here, I just want to thank everybody for liking, sharing, and subscribing. It means a ton to me as we try to reach 5,000 subscribers before the NBA season starts. Want to let you know that 65.8% of you that watch the videos are not subscribed. So please continue to reverse lay it up on that subscribe button for me so we can reach that goal. And so even though we are talking about some hypothetical moves the Chicago Bulls could make, and we're talking about a player that I think he's solid. I'm not sure if he necessarily fits, but I definitely like him. I'm still saying go Bulls, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.